It's important to learn how to manage stress before delving into uncomfortable thoughts, emotions, and the like. This isn't because you're not tough or not strong, it's because the mind and brain need a certain physiological balance of stress that is unique for each individual to allow for optimally identifying and changing the subtle subconscious beliefs that one has. So, similarly, one must also be able to counter the basic tendency of the negativity bias and generalizing tendency from subcortical or unconscious brain networks before repairing maladaptive implicit beliefs. This is because the turmoil from the more basic and powerful systems of the lower brain regions get in the way of the effectiveness of the interventions. So, one's background mood, insofar as that which is the result of bad habits of mind, must also be changed before delving into deeper issues because you need a strong and healthy inner psychological environment in order to accomplish this. If you are even too stressed out to do stress management and it feels like wouldn't be enjoyable to do this, it may be because of the perseverative tendency from the physiological effects of stress. One way around this is to, in a sense, tap the brakes to gradually wind the stress response down by making the duration of using the tool very short but frequent. You can slowly increase the duration. For example, you may take mini 5-second breaks using the stress regulation interventions to gradually wind the stress response down. It's important to understand that staying in a responsive mode, which neurochemically fosters empathy and prosociality, should be the goal. And in order to do this, one's stress needs to be managed effectively. Each person will have different degrees of how much self soothing they need. Give allowance for the degree to which you and others need positive self soothing. This should not be used as a means of avoidance, though. Once in a responsive mode, you can begin to gradually venture into greater self actualization and realization tools and techniques. You may also notice that reducing stress can sometimes make the world and reality feel flat and boring, at least initially. The reason for this is because stress creates alertness, focus, and drive, as well as stimulation. The manner in which to overcome this challenge is to also come off your stress bender gradually. Think of it like acclimatizing your body to a new environment. It takes time for this to happen, and it is on the body's terms. It will take as long as it takes, and you need to foster the conditions for it to change rather than flicking a switch. So, this idea contrasts with many people's tendency to try to force change. So, a paradigm shift needs to take place in you such that the conditions need to be fostered, which is an indirect approach. This is in contrast to trying to directly or mechanically change it. So, here's the first tool: breathing. Breathing exercises are a key skill for coping with any kind of dysregulation. Slowing the pace of your breath allows you to consciously influence the state of your nervous system to bring your levels of stress down or up so they are moderate. For all therapeutic change, stress levels need to be at a moderate level of intensity, not too much, not too little. Making your exhales longer than usual each time you breathe out is another tip because the part of your nervous system that calms the stress response down, called the parasympathetic nervous system, is active when you exhale. Here's an exercise you can do to get you started. Slowly and comfortably breathe in at a pace that is enjoyable for you. Make it rhythmic because this calms the brainstem, which is the first step in therapeutic repair. If it helps to, count out the length of your breaths. You may count in for 4, hold for 2, count out for 8, hold for 2. Modify anything that you need to. Notice any enjoyable sensations or effects in your body from doing this. This helps to reinforce the desire and habit to engage in this exercise. And continue this for as long as it is enjoyable. You can start with a few cycles and work up to 5 minutes or more. Well done. You may wish to pause or continue on. Slowing down. This tool involves slowing your breathing and movement down to provide an anchor for setting the pace of and regulating your mind. During your daily life, when you are experiencing maladaptive stress, slow down your movement, shifting of attention, and what you consciously think about. Here's an exercise. Slow your breathing and movement down more than usual. Notice if your slower breathing feels good in your body. Linger on any enjoyable sensations in your body. Slow your movement down to a pace that is comfortable. Notice if this slower movement feels good in your body as well. Notice any enjoyable sensations. Good, well done. You may wish to pause or take a break or continue on. There's been much research on the benefits of relaxation exercises on mental health and physical health. There are lots of ways to approach this, and some core exercises are provided later on as well in this section. But here's one exercise. Get comfortable where you're sitting, standing, moving, or lying down. Gently become aware of your body and stay with this embodied awareness throughout the exercise. Move or shift your body to get comfortable. Slow your breathing down. Breathe in a little deeper than usual, making sure it's comfortable for you. Breathe out a bit longer than you normally do in a way that feels pleasant for you, making your breathing smooth, even, and rhythmic. Scan your body and notice where you feel tension. Sequentially and slowly move each tense part of your body, being aware of the movement as it's happening, as you're slowly moving. This can be subtle or more pronounced. When you exhale, as you're moving, whichever part of your body, gently and gradually allow that part of your body to start to release and let go. Notice any enjoyable sensations when you exhale and gently allow the muscle to start to let go a little. Allow yourself to experience the sensations as these are occurring in your body. If you're not aware of any at all, imagine the feeling and sensation of what a little bit of relaxation might feel like in the whole of your body. Just gently imagine the felt sense of this. Now savor any enjoyable sensations there are presently for about 10 seconds as you're aware of your body. Well done. You may wish to pause or continue on. So the next one is eye movement. Eye movement has been found to both aid in eliciting a relaxation response, process thought and emotion, and problem solve. For the purpose of this section, we'll focus on fostering greater relaxation. Gently and lightly become aware of your body. slow your breathing down. Take your time breathing in and out. I invite you to close your eyes if it's safe to. Of course, don't do this when you're driving or operating any equipment. You need to be in a safe place. Okay. If and when it's comfortable for you and it's safe, close your eyes. Notice any tension you feel in and around your eyes. Begin moving your eyes in a slow, relaxed motion in a direction that might feel good. Monitor and alter the movement so it does feel good for you. It's a constant adjustment, monitoring and adjustment process. You can move them in any combination and direction, up, down, side, diagonal, or in circles. It can be big, small, medium, or a mix of movements. The pace can be fast, slow, medium, or a mix. You may want to try on the slow side. The rhythm can change too. Make it so it feels good for you at each moment. As you do this, you may notice thoughts and feelings arise as you do. As they do, if they do, continue doing the eye movement exercises while experiencing the thought or feeling. But don't consciously try to linger on the thought or feeling. If your mind wanders, wait a moment or two until you feel ready and gradually and slowly turn your attention back to being in your body, breathing slowly and rhythmically, and slowly moving your eyes. Well done. You may wish to pause or take a break or continue on. The next tool is directed associations. If you find certain thoughts or events stressful, you can use the features of the present thought or experience to your advantage. The core of cognition seems to be analogy or association. That is, any feature of our reality, mental or physical, either is or has a reference point for another feature in our mind, reflected in our neural network. These are, in turn, connected with additional features and cues, and so on. Here are a couple of ways of directing associations. The first way is simply to become aware of the opposite of the distressing feature. The second way is by looking for features that in some way can be connected with your wants, goals, and values. For the first way, this involves becoming aware of one of the features. The first is most often helpful. Then become aware of what this feature reminds you of when you think of it. Pretend for a moment that you have a thought about someone you don't like. What is the first thought or feeling that comes up in your mind? Maybe you felt that they were inconsiderate. Now think of the opposite of that quality and who exhibits consideration to you. This uses the natural rhythms of your associative thinking to think more positively by looking at the positive of that feature. For the second method, involving considering your wants, values, and goals, we can use a very mundane example. For example, imagine that you are not a fan of the vegetable cauliflower. If you just continue dwelling on this, you remain stuck and in an unpleasant state of mind. When you use directed associative thinking, you can become aware of what the cauliflower reminds you of that is positive or adaptive. For me, I think of cheese when I think of cauliflower, probably from the commercials when I was younger. Then I think of what cheese reminds me of that is further and more significantly connected with my wants, values, and goals. I think of cows, then I think of a farm, and then the countryside, and finally, how I'd like to retire in the countryside. You can think of this method as piggybacking on the associative waves of your neural network's pattern of energy and activity. In other words, it is essentially harnessing the natural direction and rhythm of your brain's neural activity. Try to do these exercises in a light and gentle manner because focusing and narrowing too hard on the thought blocks out the pattern recognition power of the right hemisphere. However, we also need some of the focusing power of the left hemisphere to guide the right's associative elicitations, so gentle and light directiveness is a helpful approach. Mini breaks. It can be difficult to manage stress sometimes because we feel too stressed or angry to want to relax. This is because during stress, we tend to get perseverative, more alert, and so managing stress is more about learning how to gradually wind down. This practice can be done often and give momentary relief. Done frequently, the relaxation and relief accumulates. Here's an exercise. Become aware of any tension in your body. Common regions are the upper back, shoulders, jaw, eyes, and stomach. Take 5 seconds to slowly breathe in. As you exhale, allow your muscles to gradually relax more and more while you exhale, and make a gentle and relaxed intention to clear your mind and focus on the momentary relaxation for 5 seconds. You can do more breath cycles using this technique if you like. Most people find that they can completely let go for about 5 seconds before the automatic thoughts and feelings start up again. This depends on your level of stress at the time, though. Well done. You may wish to take a break or continue on. The next tool is massage. Massage, even providing it to oneself, can be a terrific way to help provide regulation and sensory integration to fundamental levels of the architecture of our brain. Massage is often underestimated because of its perceived simplicity and accessibility, but in terms of regulation, it's fantastic. So here's an exercise. Begin by noticing any tension you feel in your body again. Scan your body from head to toe. Common areas, as I've mentioned previously, upper shoulders or back, jaw, face, eyes. Take a slow and deep breath and slowly exhale, making your breathing rhythmic. Slowly begin to massage your own upper shoulders near the base of your neck. Do this in a rhythmic way as you continue to breathe. Become aware of any enjoyable sensations as you do this. Be present in the massage and motion as it's happening, in the fluid present moment. Continue in this way for other areas of your body that would feel enjoyable, such as your face, stomach, etc. Well done. You may wish to pause or continue on. The next concept is about emotional boundaries. Being aware of one's emotional boundaries, of what is uncomfortable and overwhelming, and creating distance or time from the stressor to process and contextualize fears can be a useful way to achieve greater regulation. If you're not aware of when this happens, it may be especially helpful to learn how to identify your emotional boundaries so that you can begin this practice. Here's an exercise. Take a slow, deep breath and slowly exhale. Continue breathing deeply and rhythmically in a relaxed and slow way. Notice any tension and sensations you feel in your body. Be mindful of what feels comfortable and uncomfortable as you interact with your environment, whatever you're doing. Allow any automatic thoughts, feelings, and impressions to arise. When you get a sense of what feels manageable and overwhelming, consider ways you could control your action, mind or body, when you interact with your environment to create a healthy level of challenge, one that is not overwhelming, that works for you. Well done. You may wish to pause or continue on. Getting physical distance from a stressor. There is an underestimated tactic to increase regulation. There are many instances when this is indeed possible to get distance, yet we either downplay the significance of it or have an erroneous notion or assumption that we should be able to use a technique to instantly regulate our distress. Regulation does not seem to work instantaneously. It requires a little bit of time, distance, and other interventions to get the wheels turning for regulation to begin setting in. Getting some physical distance can assist with beginning the process of regulation. So here's an exercise. Take a slow, deep breath and exhale. Continue breathing deeply and rhythmically in a relaxed and slow manner. Become aware of any stressor that feels a bit too overwhelming. Consider how you could get even a bit of distance from the stressor, even if it's 2 minutes, for example. This can provide the necessary space to reduce the probability of reacting rather than acting on the stressor. Well done. The next tool is positive influencers. It can be adaptive to direct your attention to positive things if it provides a break from stress. Not all stress is bad, of course, but we seem to have too much. Too much can be bad for health as levels of stress, hormones called glucocorticoids, can depress virtually every system of the body and increase the risk for illness and wear and tear on the body. There's definitely a time and place for investigating and dealing with unpleasant fears and worries, but a break from these is also essential for regulating your energy and maintaining your mental health. You can do this exercise for a quick buffer for stress that lasts for a few seconds if you don't have a longer period. Or you can do a more lengthy exercise if you have the time or desire. Sometimes it can be challenging to do an exercise like this for an extended period because it may feel like work. This is why it's really important to try it for a short time and notice, experience, and savor any enjoyable sensations in your body for several seconds. This acts as a reinforcer to increase the desire for more of it. So here's the exercise. Make a list of your favorite calming memories, images, smells, sounds, feelings, fantasies, movies, books, people, qualities, and characteristics that both as a child and adult were your favorite. It can be either as a child or as an adult, or both. These positive influencers will be buffers against negative stimuli that you perceive that cause too much stress. You can use a self-directed neuroplasticity exercise, which is simply being aware of the experience, staying with it for 10 seconds, being aware of the novelty, the newness of it, being aware of the benefits of it. Imagine the feeling sinking down into your body. Imagine that feeling filling up your body. That's a very simple, express version of the self-directed neuroplasticity exercise. And if you want an even more express exercise, simply linger on the positive experience, be aware of it for 10 seconds, and savor it while you're aware of your body. Excellent. Well, that's it for the stress regulation exercises.